Breaking a Turkish taboo. Human rights activists mark mass killings of Armenians classed by some as genocide. No to nuclear power. A human chain of discontent in Germany, 120 kilometers long. Poised for power, Conservatives aim for the strongest political mandate in Hungary's post-communist history. And unveiling a secret. French authorities claim fined driver's husband is married to 4 women.
For most Turks, the very idea would be unthinkable. But earlier, around 200 Turkish intellectuals, human rights campaigners and artists commemorated the 1915 mass killing of Armenians by Ottoman Turks. The gathering in Istanbul was the first of its kind in Turkey, and activists held photos of victims and laid flowers in their honour. Armenia insists the massacre of some 1.5 million people was genocide, something Ankara vigorously denies. It contests the number of victims and argues the killings were part of a larger struggle during the First World War. But the US, France and a number of other foreign states all back Armenia's opinion. The massacre remains a defining element of Armenian national identity, and tens of thousands marked the 95th anniversary at a hilltop memorial in the country's capital. The service comes against a backdrop of renewed tensions between Yerevan and Ankara after a peace deal fell apart on Thursday.
There's uncertainty on the streets of Athens after debt-laden Greece finally activated financial aid from the EU and IMF. The fear for many is that access to the €45 billion package will be granted only if tougher austerity measures are imposed. Despite this man says asking for help seemed like the only way out. I want to be positive that with the participation of all Greeks, things will get better. With the wage reductions, my income is going down. I'm suffocating. My children are helping me make ends meet. While not formally on the agenda, Greece was a hot topic at a meeting of G20 finance ministers in Washington. Rallying behind the bailout, they said they would not allow such debt problems to threaten the European or world economy. But outside, protesters supported a measure which divided ministers. Among their demands, demonstrators want banks around the world to be hit with new taxes to help pay for future rescues of troubled financial firms.
In Germany, protesters have been joining hands to form a human chain. It stretched 120 kilometers, linking 2 nuclear power plants. The focus of the demonstration is the government's energy policy and its pro-nuclear stance. Tens of thousands of protesters were involved here, while a second demonstration was staged at the Biblis plant. The symbolic protest stretched from the Krumel nuclear plant near Hamburg to the Brunsbüttel at the mouth of the River Elbe. The protest came just 2 days before the 24th anniversary of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in Ukraine, which sparked the anti-nuclear movement in Germany. The centre-right coalition, led by Chancellor Angela Merkel, has said it intends to revoke an earlier law which would have seen all nuclear plants in the country shut down by 2020.
Belgium's King Albert has asked Finance Minister Didier Reynders to ride to the rescue of the country's ruling coalition. Prime Minister Yves Le Terme tendered his government's resignation on Thursday after deep splits between Dutch and French-speaking parties finally cracked. That concerned a row about electoral boundaries around Brussels. So far, the King has been keen to resolve the impasse, hoping Reynders can lead reconciliation talks and breathe new life into the coalition. But in Brussels, students expressed little faith in their leaders to handle Belgium's latest crisis. It's a very, very big mess, really. Belgian politics doesn't inspire me whatsoever. I think the problem lies more with the politicians. They really like this debate because they don't want to deal with the other socio-economic problems, like the financial crisis. There is concern the political standoff may damage Belgium's fragile economy and efforts to tackle its large public debt. The country is also due to take over the EU's 6-month rotating presidency later this year. Hungary's conservative opposition Fidesz party, led by Viktor Orban, looks set to sweep to victory in today's second-round parliamentary poll. In first-round elections earlier this month, Fidesz won more than half the vote. With some 120 seats still up for grabs, Orban's Conservatives are tipped to be the first party to ever secure a two-thirds majority. Another party out to gain seats at the expense of Hungary's ruling socialists is the far-right Jobbik. Weary of recession, Hungarians are expected to grant Fidesz a strong mandate following its promise to create jobs, cut taxes and kickstart the economy. This woman said, "I'll vote for Fidesz because the present government did not do anything, but they will act." The two-third majority for Fidesz would be good for the economy. There are so many unemployed people. We had family without work for 6 months. It was awful. So the next government should create jobs soon, this woman said. With unemployment currently running at more than 11%, the highest since 1994, economic growth and deep financial reform have been central themes during the campaign. In addition to trying to reduce Hungary's high public debt and unemployment, if Fidesz obtains a supermajority, it will be able to change the country's constitution and electoral system. Euronews is expected to have provisional results of voting tomorrow.
A funeral service for 4 German soldiers killed in Afghanistan has been attended by Chancellor Angela Merkel and senior members of her government. Ingolstadt in Bavaria was the setting for the tribute. The fallen servicemen were aged from 24 to 38. They died in 2 separate insurgent attacks in the northern Afghan city of Baglan. Paying tribute to the troops, Defence Minister Karl Theodor zu Guttenberg warned further casualties could be expected. 7 German soldiers have died in Afghanistan this month alone, bringing the country's total losses since its mission there began to 43. Despite providing the 3rd largest NATO contingent, polls show a large majority of people in Germany oppose its involvement in the conflict.
In France, this Muslim woman has been fined for wearing a full-face veil while driving a car. Police in Nantes said the niqab restricted her vision and could have caused an accident. The 31-year-old was fined €22, and in the process the focus of the case has switched quickly. Records, it's claimed by the Interior Ministry, show the woman, talking here to the French media with her husband, is living in a polygamous relationship. Her husband, it's alleged, has 4 wives and 12 children. But is he actually married?
La législation en vigueur.
The law says that if a man has more than 1 wife, he is polygamous. If he has several lovers, then he is not.
Concubine, il n'est pas polygame.
In the town of Rezé, where the couple live, there's still a cloud of confusion. There are claims that the woman's partner or husband is a member of a radical group, and the women with whom he lives are getting state benefits for the children. Town records have turned up a blank. This morning I checked in the town hall of Rezé to see if he was married, and I couldn't find any record of the marriage. In Rezé, as investigations continue to try and find the truth behind this case, the national government is preparing to present a bill next month to ban full veils in public spaces. How will events here influence the public's perception?
A peace overture from anti-government protesters in Thailand has been rejected by the country's prime minister. Demonstrators, dubbed the Red Shirts, offered to end weeks of protests if the government dissolved parliament and called elections within 30 days. They've previously demanded immediate polls. But Prime Minister Abhisit Vejashiva is quoted as saying the compromise can't be accepted because the protesters are using violence and intimidation. Parliament must be dissolved at the right time, he said, for the benefit of the entire country. That response is bound to please pro-government activists who've also taken to the streets. Blood has already been spilt in this divided nation's power struggle. Recent violence and deepening political splits have now spurred talk of civil war.